Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. Hey, my beautiful people. Well, welcome to Threshold Thursday here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am so grateful that you are joining me today as we continue our powerful April series on mindfulness and presence. You know, this month has been all about learning to be fully present in our lives, right? To experience each moment with awareness, intention, and love. And today we are focusing on something that's absolutely essential to be truly present. And that's creating mindful boundaries. You know, as we step into the new month and the new theme, I'm still processing everything that we explored in March about letting go. And as Dr. Will has reminded us on Monday of letting go of our comparison culture, that is very crucial of our well-being and our authentic self-expression. And what I've discovered in that mindfulness and letting go are deeply connected. So when we practice being present, we naturally begin to release what doesn't serve us. All right, so before we get into this topic today, let's take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Ready to transform how you think about love and mental health? This May, join host Nyomi Banks and Dr. Will Washington and expert guests on Love and Mental Health, a powerful 4-part series exploring relationships through the lens of mental wellness. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap. Do you have a story to share? Your experience matters. Email us at asknyomi@gmail.com and be part of the conversation that's changing lives.
Hey, this is Dog Pound Mike from Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast. Come check us out every week. And remember, I'm no relationship expert. I just tell it like I hear it from the kennel. Get back at it.
All right, well, welcome back. All right, before we dive deeper into today's topic, let's ground ourselves with a brief meditation to, help us arrive fully in this moment together. So if you are able, I invite you to close your eyes. And if you are driving or something that requires a visual attention, just bring your awareness to your breath, all right? I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. I want you to feel your body in this moment, the weight of it, the sensation of the air on your skin, the rhythm of your breath. Now bring your awareness to any boundaries or borders in your physical space right now. Perhaps it's the edges of your room, the boundary between your body and the chair supporting you, or the threshold between inside and outside. I want you to notice how these boundaries create the container for your experience right now. They don't limit you, they define the space where you can be fully present. And with your next breath, I want you to imagine your awareness extending to fill this container completely. Not straining beyond it, not collapsing inward, but filling it with your present moment in awareness. Take one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, I want you to bring that same quality of awareness to the emotional and energetic boundaries in your life. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes and bring this boundary awareness with you into our conversation today. All right. All right, my beautiful people. All right, if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something we do every day, Monday through Friday. It's just to help to ground us before we get into our topic at hand. All right, so on Tuesday when we introduced mindfulness, I talked about how it's simple to practice on bringing your full attention in the present moment, about being fully here, your body, your mind, your spirit, without judgment. And I shared how it doesn't require hours of meditation or a perfect environment. But today I want to go deeper and talk about something that's often overlooked when we discuss mindfulness, and that's the power of boundaries. You see, many of us think that being mindful means saying yes to everything, being available to everyone, taking it all in, but that's not true. That's not true presence. That's overwhelm. You see, true presence requires boundaries that allows us to be fully here, fully engaged with what matters most in each moment. I was reflecting on yesterday's, as I listened to Dennis Henson talk about building consistent habits for a transformation. And he mentioned on how people who are successful at maintaining their practice protect their time and their energy. They create boundaries around what deserves their attention. And that got me thinking about my own journey with mindfulness. See, when I first started practicing being present, I thought it meant that I had to notice everything. I had to respond to everything. I had to be available for everything. And you know what happened? I got burnt out. I couldn't maintain that level of attention because I wasn't setting any boundaries. So let me share something personal with you all. Last year, I reached a point where I was constantly depleted between caring for my mother with dementia, building my business, creating content, and just trying to be there for my family and friends. I was spread so thin that I wasn't truly present for any of it. That's when I learned about mindful boundaries, the practice of intentionally deciding where to place our attention and energy. It's not about shutting people out or becoming selfish. It's about creating the conditions that allow us to be fully present when we choose to be. So what exactly are mindful boundaries and how do we create them? Well, mindful boundaries are the conscious limits that we set to protect our energy, our intention, and presence. There's the threshold that we establish that defines where our responsibility begins and ends, and where our attention flows, and where it doesn't need to be. Unlike rigid barriers that cut us off from connection, mindful boundaries are permeable membranes that we adjust with awareness. They allow us to engage deeply with what matters while filtering out what depletes us. And here's the beautiful thing. When we set clear boundaries, we actually become more present and more connected in the relationships and activities that we choose to prioritize. So instead of us being partially present in 20 different places, that, we can truly be fully present in a few places that truly matter. So I want to share with you 3 types of mindful boundaries that have helped me transform my ability to just stay in the present moment. The first one we're going to call first-time boundaries. This involves being intentional about how and where you spend your time. It might mean setting specific hours for work, social media, family time, and self-care, and honoring those boundaries even when there's pressure to cross them. For me, this looks like my morning altar time. I protect those first 30 minutes of my day for prayer, meditation, and setting intentions. No phone calls, no emails, no social media. Just me connecting with myself and with God. And with this boundary, it creates the container for presence that shape my entire day. So now let's go to the second attention boundary. This involves deciding on what's deserving your mental focus and what doesn't. It's about catching yourself when your mind wanders and to worry about the future and just being about the past. And It's gently bringing in back what's happening right now. One practice that helped me is what I call single tasking. It was hard for me in the beginning because I used to live by that saying, kill two birds with one stone, right? But doing just one thing at a time with my full attention. So when I'm having a conversation, I'm not also checking my phone. And when I'm eating, I'm not also watching TV. This boundary around me, my attention, it allows me to fully experience what is happening right now. In the third emotional boundary, this involves distinguishing between your feelings and other feelings. It's recognizing where your emotional responsibility ends and another person's begin. This has been especially important in caring for my mother with her dementia. I've had to learn that I can be present with her emotions without taking them on as my own. And no lie, that was hard in the beginning. It truly was hard in the beginning. What I've learned is that I can hold space for her confusion or her frustration without becoming confused or frustrating myself. You see, in this boundary, it allows me to remain present and supportive without becoming emotionally depleted. You see, these boundaries, they aren't walls. They are more like the banks of a river that channel through the flow of the energy attention. So I remember when Dr. Will, when he talks about us being still, I remember was it last year sometime when he was talking about just being still like a rock and just allowing, the ocean just to flow around you. That's kind of like what's happening right now when we talk about building those boundaries. Because without them, your presence, it just goes away like water on a dry land. So with them, your presence flows with purpose and power. Now, I know what some of you might think, and Naomi, setting boundaries sounds selfish. Shouldn't I be available to everyone who needs me? And let me tell y'all something. I was so guilty of that. So very guilty of that. And honestly, I'm going to be very honestly, I take that challenge right there day by day. Even me here on this platform. Even me making sure that I have an episode every morning out. I try to be at the exact same time every day. But then that's when I have to step back and understand what my boundaries look like for me. Would I be able to give you the great content, the great messages that you need from this podcast if I am pushing and forcing myself when I haven't did everything that I'm supposed to do for me, if that makes sense? So I want to address something directly because it's a misconception that keeps many of us, especially women and caregivers, from practicing mindful boundaries. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's sacred. It's recognizing that your presence, that your energy, and that your attention are precious resources that deserve to be protected and intentionally shared. Think about it this way. When you're on an airplane, they always tell you to do what? To put on your oxygen mask before helping others. That's not selfish. It's necessary. Because if you run out of oxygen, you can't help anyone else. And that's the same true for your presence. If you don't protect your energy with mindful boundaries, you'll eventually have nothing left to give. You'll be physically present, but mentally and emotionally absent. You ain't there. And that doesn't serve anyone. Not you, not your loved ones, not your community. Nobody. I shared with you before, I've learned this lesson the hard way. When my vertigo flared up last month, my body was literally forcing me to set boundaries because I hadn't been setting them consciously. It was saying if you won't protect your energy, I'll make it impossible for you to keep overextending. I tell you, when your body gets to talking to you, you better listen. And you hope that it's not too late. That definitely was a wake-up call for me. It taught me that boundaries aren't just nice to have. They're essential for your sustainable presence. That how we honor our infinite energy and direct where it can make the most meaningful impact. And here's what's beautiful. When you set those clear boundaries with love and honesty, you actually strengthen your relationship rather than weaken them. You show up as your full, authentic self rather than a depleted version trying to please everyone. You model your self-respect that inspires others to respect themselves too. So your question is, how do we actually create these mindful boundaries in our daily lives? I want to share a practice that I've just started to do within the past month or so. It's called boundary reflection. That's what I'm calling it. And it helps you to identify where you need stronger boundaries to support your presence. So right now, I want you to find a quiet space. And if you have your journal, pull it out for me. And I want you to follow these steps. I want you to write this down. Step 1 is energy awareness. I want you to reflect on the past week. And I want you to list all the activities, the people, and the commitments that energize you and that left you feeling more alive, more present, more you. Then I want you to list those that depleted you, that left you feeling drained, distracted, and disconnected. Now in step 2, this is boundary identification. For each depleting item, I want you to ask yourself, what boundary will help me protect my energy and presence here? Maybe it's a time boundary, like I'll check my work email only during Pacific times, or an attention boundary, I will put my phone away during family dinner, or an emotional boundary that I'm listening compassionately without taking on their stress. And step 3, this is the communication planning. For boundaries that involve other people, plan how you could communicate with them clearly and compassionately. Remember, effective boundaries don't blame or demand. They simply state what you need and what you are willing to offer. Step 4. This is our implementation strategy. I want you to choose one boundary to focus on implementing it this week. What specific actions would you take to honor this boundary? What support do you need, and how will you remind yourself of this commitment? And our last step is step 5, compassionate accountability. At the end of the week, I want you to reflect on how well you maintain your chosen boundary. Celebrate your success and learn from any challenges without judgment. Then choose another boundary to focus on. You see, this reflection practice, it helps you to gradually build a boundary system that supports your presence rather than depleting it. It's not about creating all your boundaries all at once. It's about getting clear on where your energy is going and make intentional adjustments. So for me today, I'm going to share this with you through, I do pre-records on my guests, especially my guests. I do pre-records, period, and I'm just being honest. And I do it with my guests. And it was times that I was interviewing, had interviews every day, all day, Monday through Friday. And that was truly depleting my energy. And so I had to take it to 2 days a week, every other week. Because even though hearing those stories of importance, there was other things in my life that was more important as well. And so I had to sit down and I had to schedule things. My social media, I'm only on it to a certain time of day. Returning back emails. As I said, scheduling. Because even though I might try to have a schedule with my mom caregiver, that's truly, it's been an impossible thing for me. So I have to be at all times in the present moments for her. And with whatever she's going on. We have some amazing days, but I always have to be prepared for those not so amazing days. As well as I have a child at home that is homeschooled. So when that trigger for me for vertigo, it truly made me open my eyes because, like I said, I'm a person that is learning how to run a marathon. And in that marathon, I need to learn how to take care of my body, the inside out, my mental, my emotional, my spiritual, my physical, everything. And that in tunes is to making sure that I do have that time for mindfulness, that I do take no matter what day it is, Monday through Sunday, that I have that 30 minutes plus at my altar in the morning. Then also, I give myself time during the day to do quick mindful exercises. But this right here, this reflection, it helped me to realize, all right, it's time to pull some things back. You know, you got it. You there. So let's take care of you all, mind, body, and soul. All right, so as we begin to wrap up today's episode, I want to emphasize that mindful boundaries are always a work in progress. They require ongoing attention and adjustment as our circumstances and needs change. This will be times when you need stricter boundaries to protect your energy during challenging periods. There will be other times when you expand your boundaries to include more experiences and connections. The key is to making these adjustments consciously, rather than letting external demands dictate them. That is what I had to learn. That is what I had to learn. And I want y'all to remember that setting boundaries isn't just about saying no. It's about creating the space to say wholeheartedly yes to what truly matters. It's about defining the threshold of your engagement so that when you step across it, that you can fully be present. Tomorrow, we're talking about Freedom Friday, and we'll explore on how mindfulness liberates us from the prison of past regrets and future anxieties. And we'll talk about how being fully present is the ultimate freedom and how small moments of presence can create a profound transformation in our lives. So until then, my beautiful people, I want to invite you to spend some time with the boundary reflection practice that I identify everywhere, establishing clear boundaries. It will help you to be more present and make a commitment to honoring that boundary this week. Remember, beautiful people, your presence, it is an amazing gift, both to yourself and to others. So protecting it with mindful boundaries, again, it isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's how you ensure that when you show up, that you are truly there, that your heart is open, that your mind is clear, and that your spirit is engaged. You guys have such an amazing, amazing day, all right? It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks. Thank you for listening to the Season of Self-Love podcast. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovering and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you would like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.